She twisted the key in my front door like she owned the place. I was standing in the kitchen when I heard the faint click of the lock, and for a second my heart stopped. I rushed toward the hallway, but before I reached the door, my son was already there, staring at the woman who had just stepped halfway inside our home. She froze when she saw him, her hand still holding the ring of keys. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, his voice sharp and louder than I'd ever heard. The woman flinched, her face twisting into fake confidence. But her eyes gave away the truth. She didn't expect anyone to catch her. She tried to wave him off, saying, "Oh, I was just checking the lock. HOA business you wouldn't understand." My son didn't move, didn't blink, just glared at her. She stammered, "Wait, you actually live here?" Her hand shook, the keys clattering as she pulled them back, like a thief caught in daylight. At that exact moment, I stepped into view, my phone in hand, already recording. Her eyes darted between me and my son, her mask of authority slipping fast. She tried to laugh it off, but the crack in her voice betrayed her. That's when she realized we weren't backing down, and she was in serious trouble. She backed out of the doorway so fast it looked like she had touched fire. But she still tried to keep her voice steady. "Listen, I'm with the HOA. We have the right to inspect locks for safety." "This isn't personal," she said, clutching her keys tight like they were some kind of badge. My son crossed his arms, his jaw tight. "Funny," he said, "because that looks a lot like breaking in." She snapped, "Watch your tone, young man!" But her face flushed red, and she wouldn't look either of us in the eye. I stepped closer, still filming. "You're not on any inspection list. We never received notice. So tell me, where did you even get that key?" For a second, silence filled the porch, broken only by the sound of her nervous breathing. Then instead of answering, she hissed, "If you don't cooperate, I'll call the police right now and have you removed." My son actually laughed. "Removed from our own house?" That stung her, and she whipped out her phone, dialing with trembling fingers. I almost wanted to snatch it away, but I knew better. Let her make that call. Because if real cops showed up, the truth would unravel fast, and Karen had no idea that we were ready for it. Her finger hovered over the call button like she was daring me to stop her. My son stood tall beside me, his voice steady. "Go ahead, call them. Let's see what happens when they ask. Why you're holding a key to a house you don't own." For a moment, her confidence cracked. But then she pressed the button and lifted the phone to her ear. "Yes, officer, I need immediate assistance," she said loudly, making sure her voice carried. "There are trespassers inside a home that doesn't belong to them." My jaw clenched. She wasn't just trespassing. She was flipping the story to paint us as the criminals. My son muttered under his breath, "She's digging her own grave." Karen glanced at me, her lips curling into a smug smile as if she believed her lie would stick. What she didn't know was that I had already sent the recording from my phone to my cloud storage, capturing her trying the key and stepping inside. There was no way she could twist that. Minutes later, red and blue lights flashed outside. She straightened her blouse, put on an air of fake authority, and whispered to herself, "Finally, justice." She had no clue the only one about to be exposed was her. The patrol car pulled up, and Karen nearly skipped toward it like a child who thought she had won. Two officers stepped out, one older with sharp eyes, the other younger but alert. Karen rushed to them, pointing at us wildly. "There they are. They broke in and are refusing to leave. I caught them squatting here!" Her voice shook with fake outrage. My son and I just stood on the porch, calm, almost amused. The older officer raised an eyebrow, glancing at us before turning back to her. "Ma'am, slow down. You're saying this is your property?" She froze for half a beat, then stammered, "No, not mine exactly. But as HOA president, I oversee it. They don't belong here." The younger officer frowned. "Do you have proof of that?" Karen quickly dug through her bag, pulling out a stack of printed HOA notices that looked official but flimsy. She shoved them at the officer, whispering, "They've been violating rules for weeks. We decided to lock them out." My son chuckled softly, and I stepped forward. "Officers, before you take her word, you might want to see this." I held up my phone, the video still recording, showing the moment Karen pushed her key into my lock. The smirk drained from her face as both officers leaned in, their expressions shifting from doubt to disbelief. The older officer's voice dropped, firm now. "Ma'am, Why do you have a key to their house? Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked like a fish pulled out of water, gasping for an excuse. Finally, she forced a laugh, waving her hand like it was all a mistake. Oh, that? It's just a master key for community safety. I check on all the houses when needed. The younger officer's eyes narrowed. Community safety doesn't give you the right to enter private property without permission. My son crossed his arms, his voice cold but steady. She didn't just try to enter. She actually stepped inside. I could see the older officer watching her closely now, as if every twitch on her face was evidence. Karen's fake smile slipped again, and her tone turned sharp. You're making this bigger than it is. They're lying, and if you don't remove them, the entire HOA will press charges. She tried to regain control, but her voice cracked on the word charges. That's when I played the second clip. The one where my son confronted her right inside the doorway. The officers exchanged a glance, and the younger one muttered, "That's unlawful entry." Karen's face went pale. She lunged toward me, hissing, "Delete that video now or you'll regret it." My son stepped between us instantly, blocking her path. The older officer raised his hand, voice firm. "Ma'am, step back now." For the first time, her confidence didn't just crack, it shattered. Karen's hands shook as she tried to keep her voice steady. "You don't understand, I have the authority here. The HOA put me in charge. If I say someone doesn't belong, then they don't belong." The younger officer sighed, scribbling in his notepad. "Authority doesn't mean you can impersonate a landlord. This house is clearly occupied by the rightful owners." Karen snapped. "No!" They moved in without proper approval. I was preventing a violation. My son smirked, pulling a folder from the small table inside the door. He had anticipated this. "Funny thing," he said as he held up a stack of official papers, "because here's the deed in my father's name, filed last year. Want to read it out loud?" Karen's face drained of color, but she still tried to push back. "Those could be fake," she barked, but the words sounded weak even to her. The older officer shook his head. "Ma'am, we can verify property records in minutes. You're not looking good right now." Karen's desperation boiled over. She shouted, "This entire block follows my rules, and if you don't enforce them, this neighborhood will fall apart." Her voice echoed shrill and out of control. The younger officer stepped forward, firm now. "Enough. You've lied, trespassed, and tried to intimidate residents. Unless you have a lawyer hiding in that purse, you need to stop talking." For the first time, Karen fell silent, her lips trembling as the weight of her crumbling lies surrounded her. The silence on the porch felt heavy, broken only by Karen's shallow breathing. Then, as if clinging to her last lifeline, she pulled out her phone again. "You'll all regret this," she snapped. "The HOA board will back me up. I'll prove I was right." She started dialing, pacing in frantic little circles. My son whispered, "She's really about to dig herself deeper." And sure enough, her call went straight to speaker. "Hello, this is Karen, HOA president. I have intruders in one of our homes." Before she could finish, a voice on the other end cut her off. "Karen, stop. That's not your property, and we warned you before about overstepping. If this is about the Johnson house again, you need to hang up right now." The color drained from her face as the officers exchanged knowing looks. The board itself had just thrown her under the bus, live on speaker. My son couldn't resist. "Sounds like your bosses don't think you're in charge after all." Karen's hand trembled as she ended the call, her eyes darting wildly, searching for a way out. The older officer straightened, voice hard. "Ma'am, you've officially wasted police resources, trespassed, and attempted to misuse authority. That's not going away." Karen's knees buckled slightly, her bravado collapsing in front of everyone. And still, the biggest blow was yet to come. The officers didn't wait for her to recover. The younger one stepped forward and gently, but firmly took the key ring from her trembling hand. "These don't belong to you anymore," he said, slipping them into an evidence bag. Karen sputtered, "You can't do this!" "I was protecting the neighborhood," but her voice sounded small now, nothing like the self-proclaimed queen she pretended to be. The older officer spoke clearly, making sure every word was on record. "You're being cited for unlawful entry and false reporting. You'll need to explain yourself downtown." My son crossed his arms, his face calm but fierce. "Next time you try to bully a family, maybe remember that we don't scare easy." Karen's eyes filled with panic as the officers guided her down the walkway, her protests fading into the night. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, some even stepping outside to watch. For once, no one defended her. Instead, whispers spread. She finally got what she deserved. I turned to my son, pride swelling in my chest. He didn't just protect the house, he stood up for our family's dignity. As the patrol car pulled away, he muttered almost to himself. She thought she held the power. Turns out the only key she had was to her own downfall. In that moment, I realized something simple but strong. No matter how loud Karen screamed about rules and authority, nothing was louder than the truth, and the truth was ours.